Is there anything in this world you won't tear down just to prove how smart you are?
From the stories, I thought you all thuggish.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the pop culture wars and the critics and the spears and the knives are coming out on both sides.
This is gonna end right here, right now. Let's dance, dickweed.
I would consider myself the outlier. What do you mean, Jace? Because having grown up in the 70s and 80s, two pivotal decades that shaped the way pop culture would be forever, I'm the guy who is like that nerdy kid in the gym class in primary school who gets left behind when all the other favorite teams have been picked out. So I would be the guy who would sniffle back home, read a Spider-Man comic, and when my parents weren't looking, would pull out the Janet Fraser catalogue and linger hard at the lovely models in their underwear.
Look, Fran, giant Barbie dolls. Will you play with me?
No, honey, these toys are for boys.
We should probably explain how I've turned out, and I have no complaints whatsoever. So when my colleagues all dropped their reviews yesterday, and when I say colleagues, I don't know these people, of the Dragon Age Veilguard, or DAV as we like to call it. I mean, they've got record views. I don't expect this video to get record views like the one I dropped last night, which was incredible actually, all about the Forspoken game we should have gotten. So thank you very much to one and all who came to that video and left so many comments, all which I will respond to in the next few days. But today, folks, Dragon Age, the Veilguard. The reviews, the embargo was lifted yesterday, and all I can say is BioWare are not happy with the response.
Yes, hallelujah, it's the video show. And now, the man the BBC calls...
Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog.
So here we are, folks, at Metacritic, the barometer, the measuring point, the Sylvia Plath's jar of absolute positivity. But here we go. What do the score reviews say? So from the lowest to the highest, because the lowest, folks, are the more interesting ones, CD Action gave it a 60, Digital Trends a 70. CD Action's remarks are quite funny because Veilguard leaves us with the impression we bought the wrong title. Does that mean a refund is on the way? You never know. And of course, you know how this works, folks. From the highest to the lowest, Eurogamer Germany in the fatherland gave it a 100 out of 100. Of course they would. Giga and of course Chad is missing from that name at 93. PC Games at 90. Noisy Pixel 85. You get the drift. Push Square at 80. Still a high score for them actually. So again, we have, now this is the thing, right? This was originally called Dread Wolf. It was quite of a badass title. And then again, Solas, who is the main protagonist from the previous DAV games, was meant to be quite the prevalent character in this one, except that he's not. So all those rumors that playtester discussed with New Ray on her channel, that Solas doesn't make much of a, probably makes a bit more of a slightly longer cameo than he's meant to, and that was absolutely correct.
Like Solas?
Yes.
Like Solas, he is like, like the gods. He is the Dread Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
They make him so, put him on the side. He don't,
doesn't do anything?
No, he basically in the fade, and basically we will talk to him every now and then, and that's it.
But of course, folks, you know why you came here, right? And we got to get into this. So... I left this on my tab yesterday because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss out on anything. But Pirate Nation, he's actually said now that if you give a bad review for DAV, that BioWare will come out and strike you or your channel or whatever it is that you have on social media. So I don't really care at this stage, but from God Empress of Mankind, BioWare is dead. And now look at this screenshot. Looks innocent at first. Rook, take a long, hard look at it, kid, which sounds already dubious. It'll always show the face of a hero who can get it done. Below that, establishes transgender identity and unlocks new dialogue options in future conversations. The LGBT community, right? This is the thing that always bugs me about their virtue signaling about these games, where they're not represented or included. I mean, would they identify with the characters of Mass Effect who are Hinari, who are Tyrion, who are Sari, or are they too alien for them? Do you know what I mean? And I'm going to come back to that in a minute, because it's like, it's the most ridiculous thing I've actually heard. Drag on Age, the Pride God. I love it. That's really funny. You know what? If they released that version, I think people would have bought that en masse, because it absolutely leans into the meme, right? So that I would have actually thought would have been very funny. But yeah, look, now this is what the old school version of Dragon Age Origins used to be before it became Veilguard, and the characters are better designed. At least you can see she's a chick, right? Maybe not the best looking chick, but you know what? It's a chick. Reviews for the next woke video game Failure are out. This game will flop so hard, more than Die Hard 5, and will probably kill one of the most influential video game studios ever, BioWare. The character creator allows for top surgery scars in a medieval setting, because back in those times, folks, you'd get slashed with King Arthur's Excalibur sword, or have your face slashed in two. But of course, unless you're Morgana Le Fay, as played by the very busty and beautiful Elizabeth Hurley in Marvel's The Runaways, then you might have an excuse or two for those things for happening.
Right?
But oh my word, again, blame this. This is Corinne Bush, by the way, the He-Mancer, who has destroyed this franchise into the ground.
My name's Corinne Bush. I'm the game director on Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Hey, Doc, is it a male or female?
I joined BioWare just shortly after Anthem had launched, and fortunately the opportunity came along to join my dream franchise, Dragon Age.
Oh, good for you! And how was it? I hope it was fucking good, because it's useless now, isn't it?
I'm begging you all, put BioWare out of their misery. Absolutely. Oh no. So this is Dragon Age 2. I mean, good grief, that woman has got some titties. And this is the Veilguard. Oh, look at me. I'm covered up on the top. You can't see my titties. I think this is the character of Neve. And when you see her, she's got a very attractive face. But when the camera pans down, there are no titties to be seen. Like, what is going on? Well, of course, we do know what is going on. It's so funny. Oh, look at this, Andy Pants Gaming. I love this guy, by the way. BioWare used to be 95% men. Bungie used to be 95% men. Are you seeing the pattern? Absolutely. Because when you have male only in an environment, with some females included, don't you think the products will be better in the long run? Oh my god, that's why Marvel Comics in the golden age from the 60s to the 80s had proper men writing and illustrating their comic books. Oh yeah, this is hilarious. So Natalia Sirinova, this woman is hilarious. So if she's the one I think it is, she's the woman who contacted BioWare and said, look, I identify as non-binary. Can I have a copy of the game, please? And they sent her one, which is hilarious. So what she said here was that her X account has been locked because she received a DMCA strike from BioWare themselves. Once BioWare found out that OP started criticizing Veilguard and revealed how she got the code by claiming to be non-binary, they DMCA'd her profile. This is insanely sinister behavior by BioWare. Also, think about it, by Naughty Dog when The Last of Us Part 2 came out in 2020, right? Remember that whole shebang? What happened there? So check this out, folks. The DAV review from IGN. Look at this. 5,400 likes, 31,000 downvotes. Thank God for the dislike button being reinstated by Chrome extension. You gotta love it, right? Look at that. Absolutely hilarious. Oh my goodness, this has been destroyed.
as I excitedly slashed, blasted, wooed.
Reviewed by Liana Hafer, who sounds like a dude. So Liana Hafer, if you don't know, is a freelancer for IGN, and they're an RPG expert and lore person. Of course they are. So what's their final verdict on Dav? Let's have a look. We got to get here, folks. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, I'm not sure if you're amazing, love, but thank you anyway. Thanks, Steph. It looks very androgynous. Look at that. It's amazing, folks. IGN have told you that it's amazing. Now, bear that in mind when you look at the total viewer count at the time of recording this video, which is 9:47 a.m. on Tuesday, 252,420 views. Now, if we walk on over to Mr. Matty Plays, look at that, 322,000 views already. Now, look, I like this guy. He's fantastic, okay? Really good dude. And I would consider his opinion a lot more valid than Skill Ups, who we're going to look at very quickly as well. But Matt is a long time lover of BioWare like me. He's played the Dragon Age games, unlike me. I haven't done that, so I definitely cannot profuse to say I'm an expert inside out. But how is this for an introduction?
There's no easy way to start this review. There are fantasy options aplenty. Metaphor, Refantasio, Elden Ring just got a Shadow of the Erdtree expansion earlier this year. There was also Dragon's Dogma 2. And right now, AAA gaming is going through a massive, massive change where big companies like Bethesda Game Studios, BioWare, Ubisoft really have their back against the wall, and they're not quite the heroes of gaming that they maybe once were. Whereas companies like Larian Studios and CD Projekt Red have solidified themselves as...
Yeah, except I would say now what Matt has probably refused to acknowledge here, which I'm going to spell out to him, is that CD Projekt Red, who are dead at this point, have embraced ESG and DEI. I know this is becoming a well-worn, beaten drum at this stage, but it's true. And I think that people like Matt don't want to acknowledge that right now. They might do it much later on when they realize they can see the wood for the trees. But I've watched both Matt and SkillUp's videos. They're both around the 40-minute mark. Actually, SkillUps is 46 minutes. Matt is 40 minutes. I watched them to their completion last night, and it wasn't exhausting. It was very fascinating to watch what these guys had to say about Dav. And the common thing now, by the way, Matt and SkillUp are our friends in real life. So when you actually watch their reviews, if you choose to do that, you'll hear some similarities. The common denominator I've heard in these two guys' reviews and other folks is that the last 10 hours of this game are really, really fantastic. But as Matty says here, if the last 10 hours were like the rest of the game at the beginning, it would have been an amazing treat, a feast for all of the eyes. And also, when they had their 6 hours preview, what Matt said in his video was that basically it was chapters 1 to 9 out of 14 chapters, but the 1 to 9 chapters were dissected, so you didn't get the full picture of what was going on. So when he walked away from it, he thought, okay, this is going to be a promising video game. What's the final product going to look like? And of course, as he pointed out here, just like Redfall from Arcane Studios, Austin, Texas, when they sent their copy out, their preview for Redfall, it wasn't the same version they got in the end in the final product, which we all knew was an absolute and complete disaster. So again, if you want to watch an impassioned review, folks, and if you're interested in watching a review for Dragon Age the Veilguard, Mr. Matty Plays is one. And look, when I saw Ralph from Shillup, because he calls himself Shillup anyway, talking, his introduction was rather bizarre. Listen to this.
I want to begin this review the same way I did my Final Fantasy XVI review, which is to say that reviews are opinions. This is my opinion and my opinion only. I expect that there will be a broad range of opinions on Dragon Age the Veilguard, and I encourage you to seek them out. I do not have a monopoly on truth. As I've said many times before, I'm just a nerd with a microphone and a YouTube account. My opinion is no more or less valuable than anybody else's. Okay? Alright, so Dragon Age the Veilguard is a colossal disappointment. I really can't put it any other way.
Again, he's a nerd with a microphone and his opinions are his own. Why would he say that? He just sounds like he's about to get attacked. I mean, the dude has he's not far off from getting 1 million views on his review for the Veilguard. Again, I think when you go over the 1 million subscriber club on YouTube, certain content managers out there will say to you, hey, listen, you've got to side with the discourse of ESG and DEI. If you do that, you're going to get more access. Because Paul Tassi over at Forbes gave this game an 8.5 out of 10, despite having admitted in his article that he doesn't know anything about the law regarding DAV, but this game got him super excited. And even in his review, which I thought was a nice little attack at the fans, what does he say here? Probably the character I liked best was me, Rook, who I thought was a well-designed custom protagonist in terms of personality, and not relegated to total silence like we sometimes see in the game. And the character customizer was great. Anyone who is making ugly characters in it, as previously complained about, is just bad at it. And overall, yes, I did like the art style that may not have come across as well in the trailers. Now, what's quite funny is that Ralph, Skill Up in his video, or I think it was Mr. Matty Plays, one of those two guys said, when you look at the characters in Dragon Age Veilguard, they all look very waxy. Again, if you look at a person who changes from one gender to another, they look waxy, right? It's quite hilarious. When we get to the end of Ralph's video here, here's what he says, because he echoed my sentiments about Mass Effect to a T. I actually enjoy this.
For me though, Dragon Age the Veilguard was so disappointing that I cannot muster any enthusiasm or excitement for the Mass Effect project that BioWare are currently working on. I hope they get the chance to make that game, and I hope it succeeds where Veilguard failed. But if either of those things are to happen, it's going to be against all odds, because I think Veilguard will mark a permanent shift in the way we talk about BioWare, and it's a shift that makes me really sad.
Wow, there you have it, folks. Holy shit. I mean, it's a bloodbath out there, isn't it? It really is. BioWare, what were you expecting? Did you think people would be clapping like brainless seals all over the place, thinking this is so great? And again, you had that game mechanic where characters in DAV would actually use a zip line to go into a brand new environment. And where have I seen that before? Oh, of course, the Uncharted games, where it would make sense for Nathan Drake to get away from either enemies or to slide into literally a new environment. That absolutely makes a lot of sense, right? But what Ralph in Skill Up has said, that the only thing he liked about DAV were the environments. He said they weren't great to actually be in, but just to look at, they were amazing. And I have to admit as well, yeah, they did look incredible. But when you got clunky dialogue, when both creators have said this game, Dragon Age the Veilguard, feels like a Disney movie, because you got characters who say things that you would hear in a Disney animated film, just makes me think, what the hell is going on? Also, if you make a wrong decision, or if you make an aggressive rebuttal against the character in a line of dialogue, you can't actually insult them. So the example I used was that the prompt gives you the phrase to call that person a fool. But then when the character responds, they don't come out with that line. They say something completely polar opposite to what that line of dialogue is, which reminds me of the old Mass Effect games, especially number 2, where you're femme or male Shep, and you come across that nosy reporter who badmouthed you in the previous game, and you can actually punch her to the floor, which is so badass.
Off of your disingenuous assertions. I knew this was a mistake.
So it boggles the mind when you wonder why this game chose to be shiny happy people for Dragon Age Veilguard, where this is not a dark story at all. It's all, we're going to sit here on our trees and sing about the birds and the bees. It's so utterly ridiculous, and it's the downfall, isn't it? Now, do I think this game is going to sell gangbusters? No. The sales will be average. This game will sell a few more copies than, say, Star Wars Outlaws. I predict now you might want to clip this if I get this prediction correct. I predict Dragon Age the Veilguard will sell 3 million copies in, I would say, maybe 2 months, maybe a bit less, but that's the ballpark figure I am aiming for. So on that one, ladies and gentlemen, what did you think about the whole fallout regarding Dragon Age Veilguard? Was it a complete and utter mess? Was it the way you thought it would go? Are you picking it up on day one? Have you cancelled your pre-orders? With that in mind, leave your thoughts below, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and if I were you, and if you were me, you may wish to return, me hearties, for the next video.
I've had enough of your tabloid journalism.
Not this time, you